Hey babes, my name's Diamond and I write a blog called The Fancy Girls Guide, and I empower women to elevate their lives through fashion, lifestyle, and self-care. Today's video is going to be about how to stop hating men and let go of the bitterness. Now, I know this video is going to be kind of a little bit of a touchy subject, um, but the reality is that if you hate men and you're bitter, you're not going to attract that loving, providing, healthy masculine man that you truly desire into your life. So, I'm going to give you some tips to put the man hating behind you and let go of the bitterness so that you can step into the love that you truly desire. If you like these type of videos, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss an upload. And check out the links in the bio so that you can subscribe to the blog. Let's go ahead and get into the video. Babes, the very first thing that you need to do is to recognize your limiting beliefs and understand that those beliefs are why you are attracting whatever you're getting in the dating market. So I know that this is going to be like I don't want to hear this. But the reality is that if you believe that all men are broke, men aren't chivalrous, they don't treat women well, men are predators, men are all of these like super terrible things, all men cheat, like they don't treat you good. If you believe those things, if you play those narratives in your mind, then your brain is going to find and attract you to things to validate that. That is literally how your mind works. So you have to recognize what your limiting beliefs are. Where did those beliefs come from? Like, did you see your mom struggling with men and getting cheated on, or being, controlled by the men that she dated, or just not treated well? Have you had a bad experience with a guy and now that makes you feel like all men are going to be this way? You have to recognize that there's a difference between the way that we feel and reality. Your feelings or your um just your brain, it could tell you anything, like, oh, all men cheat. Well, the reality is that there are men who do not cheat on their spouses. There are men that open the door every single time you go anywhere, where they're like, don't even think about touching this. And if you have convinced yourself, or even if you can say like, yeah, I know that those men exist, but like they just don't like me, so then that's a limiting belief. You have a limiting belief that you are not worthy of being treated well. Like, understand whatever your limiting belief is what you are going to attract. If you think that men are broke, this is a perfect example. Sometimes I'll be like out and just mixed company, and I will hear women talking about how like all men are broke and they don't know how to date women, and like these men nowadays, they don't know how to treat women well. And I think to myself, like, this is not the truth. Like, I'm telling you, when I believe that men were broke and were gonna need my help to like put them on and like help them with their goals, that is what I attracted. Is, that was like in my early 20s. So in my early 20s, I had this like limited belief that you had to like build a man, like help build with a man or some, craziness like that. And so I would attract these men who had these big ambitions and they talked a good game, and it was like, okay, I just got to help you with this, right? And when I let that limiting belief go and recognize that there are men who already have their stuff together, and there are men that are literally looking to come and take care of you, that is what I attract. So I have not attracted like a broke man in so long. Now, don't get me wrong. Sure, maybe do broke guys try to talk to me? Absolutely. But I can smell the poorness on you and I'm not interested. So I don't have to deal with that, because it's like everybody likes beautiful women. So of course every man is going to try to talk to you, but as soon as you recognize, oh, this doesn't meet the standard, I'm going to let it go. And I'm going to focus on those men who are financially stable and who are financially responsible and successful. And I would say in the last several years, I have not interacted with a man who is not financially responsible. They might have some other issues, which we can get into later, but them being broke is not one of them. And it's because I don't have this limiting belief that all men are broke or all men are dogs. Of all the relationships that I have ever had, the relationship issues were never other women. It was never like men cheating on me all the time. And it's because I don't have that limiting belief of all men cheat, because I've never even seen my father look at another woman. Like, not even glance over at some other lady. So that isn't something that I grew up in the back of my mind of like, oh, men are going to be cheaters, men are going to be whatever. Now, there are some other things that my dad did that did impact my ability to have like a positive view on men, which again we will get into later into the video. But those are just examples for you to kind of like pinpoint in your own life, where are my limiting beliefs coming from? Are they coming from my childhood? Are these things I saw my dad do? Did I see my dad go through different women and now I think that, men can't be loyal? Did I see my dad being extremely controlling and now I think that all men are going to try to control and abuse you? You have to figure out where those limiting beliefs are coming from so that you can acknowledge them, and then you can decide that I no longer believe this and this is no longer a part of my life, so that you can move forward and not have that in the back of your mind anytime a man is talking to you. Okay, babes, tip number 2 for how to stop hating men and let go of bitterness is going to be to understand that men are not your enemy. Now, I know, we see the statistics about how many women are abused and, how many women are being made single moms, and how you see these narratives with these terrible men talking, saying terrible things about women, and you start to think that it is a man versus woman world, and man versus woman, that is what the dynamic is, and it's like a competition on who can hurt who, fastest. And the reality is that good men are not trying to hurt you. Even if the relationship does not work out, there are good men in the world who have a lot of integrity and a lot of respect for women. And if you want to, I would say the best way to recognize that men are not your enemy is to look into your life and see where are examples of good men. Now, if you can't think of anybody in your family group, in your friend group, in your church group, go online and look at people who are in healthy relationships where the man treats the woman with respect and he speaks highly of her. Look for examples to counteract this view of men are the enemy, they're just out to get me, because the reality is that there would not be happily married women if that was the case. There would not be whole families and people who are getting the good experiences if there were not good men in the world. And the idea that all men are going to be bad is so illogical that it literally doesn't even make sense for you to carry this. And I know that there are like these scary statistics about how many women are sexually abused, and acknowledge the statistics, but that doesn't mean that you have to make that a something that you live inside of, where that is your expectation from men. Like, if you think, oh, well, 50% of marriages end in divorce, so you're expecting to get married and probably get divorced, that's probably what you are going to get. Men are not your enemy. They are not looking to hurt you and abuse you. Now, of course, there may be a portion of the group of men that are, but you also have to recognize that there's a portion of women who don't mean you well. That doesn't mean that there's not an abundance of women who want to show you love and want to have a sisterhood with you. And so nobody is your enemy. You just have to find the good people wherever you are. So this next tip is going to be to forgive yourself so that you can forgive the men in your life that hurt you. So a lot of times when we go through these like terrible experiences where maybe we allowed a man to treat us less than what we are deserving of, or where you maybe feel humiliated because you allowed a man to, disrespect you or degrade you, or maybe you degraded yourself. And so now you're holding on to that shame, you're holding on to that embarrassment, you're beating yourself up about allowing yourself to be in a situation that caused you harm. And so the reason why you are hating men so much and you have so much bitterness towards the men, because you're associating the men with these feelings of shame and these terrible things that you feel towards yourself. But the reality is that none of us know anything until we learn it. And sometimes you have to learn the same thing repeatedly before you finally get, the before you finally like take heed to whatever it is. And so you don't need to beat yourself up about, becoming a single mom or getting back with a guy that cheated on you. Accept the fact that your past version of yourself did the best that they could with the information that they had at the self-esteem level that they were at, and you get to decide where your self-esteem is now. You get to decide where your self-worth is. You get to decide how you are going to allow people to treat you. So you don't need to carry the shame and the embarrassment from something that happened in the past, because you're no longer living in that moment. And that moment only lives inside of you. So evict it. You gotta go. Sorry, there's no longer room for you here. And that will open up so much space inside of you to receive true love and to receive the true treatment that you truly desire, and to say no to the things that do not align with who you are now and where you are going. Now, you might think, oh, well, what if people say, well, you used to do this or you used to do that? It doesn't matter what you used to do, babe. If you're not doing it now, who cares? Yeah, that can live in your memory, but it's not going to live in mine. And it has nothing to do with my reality. So if you want to take that idea of me to your grave and you want to go and tell 50,000 people that this is what you think of me, people are going to start to think that you're delusional, because they're going to say, well, you're saying this about her, but we can look at her and tell that this is not who she is now. So they're going to look crazy and you're going to look like the girl who has everything that she wants. Babes, my fourth tip is going to be to practice daily habits to shift your mindset. Now, the two examples that I have for you is going to be a daily devotional. If you've watched some of my videos on my channel before, you know that I'm going to recommend TD Jakes' Woman Thou Art Healed and Whole, because that really addresses a lot of the experiences that we may have as women and just the spiritual healing that we can receive from God. And the next thing that I'm going to say is to look for examples of like where men have protected women or men have treated women well. And so I would say, as a Christian, my biggest examples are going to be from the Bible. And so I can give you a couple examples, right? So like, let's say you were, unfortunately you were raped or you were sexually abused. My heart goes out to you. And one story that comes to mind is the story of Jacob. Jacob had a daughter, and he had several children. And so one of his daughters was raped, and her brothers went into the village and literally murdered all of the men in the village to essentially avenge their sister's honor, because they literally said, like, should our sister have been treated this way? And so that was their way of protecting her. And that shows you the love and care that men will have for you and their desire to protect you. And that is just like a gentle reminder of, I know that this man may have hurt me. I know that these men may have hurt me, but there are men who will go to the ends of the earth and will hurt anybody who crosses me. And just having that reminder is so beautiful. You can look at the story of Ruth and Boaz. Ruth was a widow, and essentially in that time, no man really would want her, because women who are widows, if you had children with a widow, that child would be considered the legacy of the initial husband. And so most men wouldn't even marry a widow or get with one. And so Boaz treated Ruth with such generosity and such care from the very moment, I'm literally about to cry, from the very moment that he saw her in the field, just doing her work, just looking for grains to feed her and her mother in law. And when you see and you hear, like, there are quality great men that will literally provide for you from the very moment that they encounter you. They will be there to guide you and to show you so much love. You will start to recognize, okay, I know that there are bad men in the world, but there are good men too. And so let me attract those good men. And I am telling you, when you shift your mindset, the type of things that will start to pour into your life, it is like night and day. It is so incredible. So if you're not religious, look at other examples of, different love stories, or, if you want to start reading books where or just looking at different stories of, like, different couples throughout different, like, time. I'm sure there's many examples. My main examples are ones from the Bible, because that is where a lot of the examples I have are from, and also from just the men that I have in my life, watching my brother and how well he treats his girlfriend, and watching just different, friends and family members and people at my church, where it's like, I can tell that your husband and the men around you treat you with such care and love and respect. And it's like, if it is available for you, that means it is also available for me. Okay, babes, my last tip is going to be to unalign yourself with man hating, bitter women who only have terrible experiences with men. And I know that might sound harsh, but if you are going and spending your time with women who only complain about men, who only talk about how terrible men are treating them, or how, N words ain't S, or how, they're always talking about, the issues that they have in their relationships, from relationships that they're not willing to leave, you are going to absorb that, and you will start to, that will reinforce your limiting beliefs. You have to unalign yourself with people who are not going where you are going. Like, people say all the time, if you want to be a wife, get it around some wives. If you want to be in a healthy relationship, get around some people who have healthy relationships. If you want to be, bitter, keep hanging out with the bitter women who only have negative experiences and negative things to say about men, and that is what you will get. I know this is kind of a hard one, because sometimes it's our moms that are bitter, not mine, but sometimes that is the, people's experience, where your mom just hates men because of all the things that she endured at their hands, or it could be your grandmother or your aunts or whoever. And it's like, you can still have relationships with them, but you need to learn how to set boundaries of, like, yeah, I'm not talking about this with you. Like, you don't need to go and ask dating advice and dating opinions from women who hate men. Because why would you go and ask somebody for sound advice if they are immediately going to disregard half of the other person in the situation, and whatever it is they're going to be against them? And it's like, if you're asking somebody's advice, you need to get some advice from someone who has a healthy perspective, who has a non-biased view. Like, I'm the type of person, if my friends come to me and talk about, a relationship issue that they're having, I don't hate men so much that even if my friend was wrong, I'm going to side with her. I'm going to side with whoever is right in the situation, because I have a lot of integrity, and right is right and wrong is wrong. And if my friend did something that I felt was inappropriate, or I could say, oh, well, I kind of understand why his feelings would be hurt, or I can understand why he will respond this way if you said this way. You have to get people who can give you advice from a place of, like, healedness and love, so that you know that this advice is coming from the right place, versus people who, have only ever had bad experiences, so they can only give you advice out of that. Yes, that's gonna be my last tip. Babes, thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope that these tips that I gave will help you on your journey. If you like these type of videos, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you can become a part of the Fancy Girl community. And thumbs up this video because that helps me a ton. Share this with a friend, and don't forget to check the links in the bio so that you can subscribe to the blog. Thank you so much. I love you, babes, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.